Hi guys, this is Amar and welcome to Network Engineer Stuff. So guys, in this video we are going to focus on OSPF chapter 5B. So this is continuation of the OSPF chapter 5A, which we started in the last video, and this is completely dedicated towards OSPF basic lab configuration. So in the last chapter we started with configuring OSPF from scratch. So we took two routers and we started the configuration. We saw that how to configure the process ID, what is the significance of process ID. Again, we saw in detail about router ID, how the router ID selection takes place on an OSPF router. We also saw that how to configure the OSPF router manually. So we saw that part also, that it is also recommended that you always configure OSPF router manually. So in this video, we will be focusing more on how to advertise the network in OSPF. We will see that how we can verify the neighbor or the adjacency in OSPF. That is, let's say we have these two routers R1, R2. So how to verify whether those are neighbors of each other or they are OSPF neighbors of each other. So how to verify it, how to verify OSPF routes also we will see. Then we will understand what exactly happens internally, when we start OSPF process, what exactly happens internally. So we'll also have an idea about that. So this was our lab. So the guys who have not watched 5A video, I'll recommend you to watch that video first, but still I'll give a bit info about this lab. So this is a very basic OSPF lab. So here we have these two routers R1 and R2. So we will advertise this networks first of all in our network, in our OSPF, and we'll make this OSPF adjacency or OSPF neighborship up between R1 and R2, and then later on we will advertise this LAN pools of R1 and R2. Okay, so we'll advertise this 12.1.1.1/30 and 12.1.1.2/30 in our OSPF. So guys, let's start doing it. So for now I'll end this and let me discard this one. Okay, so let's go on router, and first of all let's check whether our IPs are correctly configured or not. So yes, we can see here the LAN, the WAN are correctly configured. The loopbacks are also configured, and on R2 also I'll have a check. Show IP interface brief. Okay, so here also this is the WAN link which is getting connected to R1, so that is also correctly configured. So now let's start with our configuration part. So how to check whether OSPF configuration is currently present or not? The command I'll say is show run. So you can check the complete configuration, or you can use this pipe section OSPF, and we'll see that there is no configuration present here. Similarly, over here also there is no configuration. So this is like the configuration again from the scratch. So we will configure it. So here also no configuration. So guys, let's go and configure it. So router OSPF 1, and this is process ID, and we'll give a router ID also. So 1.1.1.1 is the router ID we will configure. Again on R2 also we'll go in the config terminal, a router OSPF. I can keep any number as the PID. So I'll keep it as 2, and the router ID will give it as 2.2.2.2, the same stuff what we have done in the last video. Now let's verify a few things, that is the router ID, whether it is configured or not. So currently the OSPF process is started, and the very first thing what happens is selection of a router ID. So let's see. So show IP OSPF. So this is the command, and you can check over here above here that this is the routing process is OSPF1 with ID, which is the router ID, that is 1.1.1.1. So similarly, over here also we can check on R2, show IP OSPF, and here we can see the router ID, that is 2.2.2.2, and this is for OSPF process ID 2. So this is what configuration we saw in the last video. So guys, this is the command like show IP OSPF neighbor. So this is basically the command to check or to verify the OSPF adjacency or the neighborship. So currently we are having nothing on R1 because we are yet to advertise this particular network. So we will advertise 12.1.1.1/30 in this OSPF configuration, in this OSPF process, and on R2 also we will advertise the same network because we want to make R1 and R2 as OSPF neighbors. So let's do it. So if you want to check the current configuration of OSPF, the command is show run pipe section OSPF. So we will have this. So we configured this. So we have this configuration. So I'll go in router OSPF1 network. So the network is 12.1.1.0. The subnet marks here, there was /30. Okay. So /30 is nothing but 255.255.255.252. So here guys, we always have to use the wildcard mark. So it will be 0.0.0.3. Okay. So this will be followed by the area ID. So here we will keep the area as area 0. Okay. So this is what we have configured. Similarly, on R2 also we will configure. Okay. So we'll go and check first what is the configuration over here. Show run pipe section. Always have this habit of checking the configuration, current configuration, whenever you are making the configurational changes. So this is what the main motive of doing this labs is, that you should have these good habits while you are practicing the labs, so that you will do the same thing when you will work in the live network. So here I'll go in config T router OSPF2 network 12.1.1.0 followed by the wildcard mark. So here also same 0.0.0.3 area 0. Write the conf. Now the moment I configure this, some OSPF message, you can see here, this is some OSPF message which is regarding adjacency. So OSPF neighborship or OSPF adjacency, they are the same thing. You can see here the process 2, the neighbor 1.1.1.1, the state is changed from loading to full. Now what is loading, what is full? We will have a full video on this OSPF states, and that will be more interesting than any other chapter on OSPF. And that topic is basically a very critical topic. So I'll make the video on that also. So now if I go and check on R1, show IP OSPF neighbor, I can see here there's one neighbor. Okay. So this neighbor ID is 2.2.2.2, which is R2, and the state here you can see is full. So whenever you see the state as full, that means your OSPF neighborship is up. Okay. What is priority? Of course, we'll see in upcoming videos. If you see this dead timer, it will be going on ticking. So this is a dead timer. Then if you see this IP address, this address, this is the address of the neighbor interface, which is Ethernet 1/0. So this is something neighbor information we have. We also have one command which is show IP OSPF neighbor detail. So in this we will get some detailed information that this DR and BDR, again this is something which I will be discussing when we will be discussing this particular. Again, this is very interesting topic. in OSPF. So basically this is what we have configured. So in OSPF, whenever we want to make any neighborship up, we have to first configure the network. The network advertisement had to be done in the OSPF process. So we have done it. Okay. Now we also have this LAN interfaces, okay, which is 192.168.1.1/24 on R1, and on R2 also we have this 192.168.2.1/24. Before that, I want to show you one command, show IP OSPF. If you give question mark, a lot of commands, but again this is one of the critical commands. Show IP OSPF interface. Rather, I'll give you show IP interface brief. So here you will see the list of the interfaces on which the OSPF is currently running. So here currently only on this WAN link, which is getting connected to R2, it is running. So let's configure the LAN part also. Advertise the LAN part. Network 192.168.1.0. There is subnet marks for /24. So /24 is 255.255.255.0. So the wildcard marks will be 0.0.0.255 followed by the area. It is area 0. Okay. Now we'll go on R2, and also on R2 also we'll configure the same stuff. Router OSPF 2 network 192.168.2.0 0.0.0.255 followed by the area. Now we will see, verify the configuration, show IP OSPF interface brief. So here you can see this particular interface is now added, that is the LAN interface. Okay. Again we will see over here also, show IP interface, show IP OSPF interface brief. So here also you can see this particular is added. Now if I go and see show IP route, now this is the command to check the routing table, right? So if I give this command like show IP route OSPF, I'll get the OSPF routes over here. So you can see over here that I am having this particular route in my OSPF table, that is 192.168.2.0. Now this is the LAN interface or the LAN subnet of R2. So this one, okay, 192.168.2.0/24. Similarly on R2 also we'll check the OSPF routing table, show IP route OSPF. Here also we can see this LAN subnet of R1 in this routing table. You can see over here the keyword over here is, the code over here is O. O is nothing but OSPF, and we can see the AD value 110, and it is learned via 12.1.1.1, which is R1. So in this way, we can check the routing table of OSPF. So what all things we have covered, we'll just check this one. So we already checked all this stuff in the last video. Okay, we advertised our router ID, and then we advertise our networks. Okay, so how did we verify? So I've created this sequence because many times it happens that we tend to forget, or we tend to forget the commands, how to configure or how to verify OSPF. So you can always remember this particular sequence or this particular things in some order, like R, I, N, R. So this is a router ID. So whenever you are configuring the OSPF for the first time, always verify the router ID. always verify the interfaces, the OSPF interfaces, always verify the neighbors, and always verify the OSPF routes. So here are these commands, 4 commands which are critical, which are very important. So which we saw that, show IP OSPF. So for this router ID, the command is we saw was show IP OSPF. Okay. For this interfaces, we saw the command was show IP OSPF interfaces. Okay. For neighbors, we saw the command was show IP OSPF neighbor, and for routes we saw the command was show IP route OSPF. So these are the few commands, or these are the 4 very important commands whenever you are verifying OSPF, because this is so important, guys, because whenever you have this 4 commands with you, from troubleshooting point of view also it will be very useful. Of course, while verifying the stuff, it also very useful. So guys, I also have OSPF process workflow slide for you. So this slide basically explains the complete process workflow. We can say at a very high level, you can have you understand how the OSPF process works. So let's say we have this a router R1 and R2, which we saw in the lab. Okay. So this 2 routers. So very first thing what we did was we configured something known as a router OSPF 1. Okay. And here also we configured router OSPF 2. So because of this, what happened was the OSPF process got started. The very first thing what the OSPF router do once the OSPF process gets started is it determine its own router ID. So it determine its own router ID. In fact, like we configured it manually because that is something recommended. So we configured it in like 1.1.1 and 2.2.2. So after this, what exactly happens is that once the router ID is selected or it is elected, we configured the network. Okay, so here was this particular segment or subnet which we configured in OSPF. So we configured that thing in OSPF, and after that network statement, once that network statement is configured, OSPF gets enabled on this particular interfaces. OSPF starts running on this interfaces. So when we say the OSPF is start running on the interfaces, we actually verified it also by using the command show IP OSPF interfaces brief. So the OSPF process start running on this interfaces, and a very important point, once the OSPF process or this interfaces are enabled with OSPF, something known as hello messages are exchanged between this 2 routers. This hello message plays a very important role in OSPF, especially when we are discovering or when we are making the neighborship up. It have a lot of parameters which are checked before the OSPF routers make adjacencies or the neighborship with the other router. So once the adjacency is up, the neighborship is up, something known as LSDB, which is link state database, is been exchanged between the routers. SPF algorithm, the Dijkstra SPF algorithm is then gets run on that particular database, and the best route has been elected, and that is installed in the routing table. So this is a high level, I will say, an OSPF process workflow which you should understand, and of course we will go in details in the upcoming videos, and of course I'll promise guys this is going to be very interesting, because I'm breaking the things in parts for OSPF. It's a very good topic to study, a very important topic in fact when we are studying routing in OSPF. So we saw this commands, everything. So this is what I have guys to present in this video. I'll stop here. I'll catch up in the next video. If you have watched this video till this point, please consider subscribing to my channel, Network Engineer Stuff. It basically helps me a lot. So I'll catch up in the next video. Till then, bye. Thanks for watching and have a nice day. Bye bye.